So I have a rather exciting knife in front of me here, a knife that I was excited about since I saw that it was coming out. But to backtrack a little bit, at some point last year, I think it was like the last quarter or last third of last year, Case announced that the Barlow was coming out of the vault and going back into regular production, which a lot of people were really excited about, including me, because I don't think the Barlow should be a knife that you ever really stop making because it's such a synonymous pattern with traditional pocket knives as far as I'm concerned. Like you think of traditional pocket knives, you think of like the Barlow, the Trapper, the Stockman, that kind of stuff. But Case hadn't really had regular production of the Barlow for a while. And in 2019, they brought it out of the vault. They sold really well, I think, because of a huge resurgence in the traditional knife market. A lot more people have been interested in traditional pocket knives the past few years. So I think Case saw an opportunity and decided to bring the Barlow back into regular production. In front of me here, I have the first one that they did in carbon steel, and it's a I don't know if I want to call it a series, but I'll call it a series. It's a series that I have a little bit of experience with. This is their gray pocket worn bone, which are pretty good looking handles, I have to say. The pocket worn is always nice because it's all smoothed over and stuff. It really feels nice and polished and everything. And the gray looks good. I do wish, however, that Case would produce more knives in really cool handle materials with carbon steel. Smoky Mountain Knife Works just released their exclusive case, which is like the Sea Dragon or something. And those handles look awesome, but of course the blades are in stainless steel. I'll probably order one of something from that run anyway, just because I really like the handle material on it. But I really wish that Case would do some knives with carbon steel with really good looking handles. I do like the gray though, I have to say. I mean, I just wish it was a little more colorful. But it does have a couple streaks of like lighter in it and stuff, or darker. It has some variation in it, so it can be pretty good looking. And I think this is pretty good looking. But this one is in carbon steel. Last in 2019, they did exactly one Barlow in carbon steel, and it was that saw cut one. And I have one, but mine's not too saw cut, but that was an extremely popular knife. So I'm hoping Case will release more carbon steel Barlows this time around. And hopefully throughout the years, now that it's back in regular production, hopefully we'll have some different variation of carbon steel Barlows, because I would love to see a single blade spear point with carbon steel. That's what I really want. But I mean, even a single blade clip point with carbon steel would be awesome. This is a two blade, has a pen blade and the main clip blade there. Um, the action on this knife is really good. It was better before I messed with it, which I will explain in a minute here. Um, but as you can see, the pivot pin there, you can see it. And the reason why you can see the pivot pin is because this knife, when I got it, had two problems with it. The one problem is, which isn't a big deal to me, is the main blade is off center. Now it's not quite touching the liner, but it is really close. In fact, it might actually be touching the liner now, but it is super close to that liner. So that's off center. Not a huge deal to me. Some people, that's a huge deal. Something you can fix if you have the patience and time and know how to do it. I'm not good at that. I've tried to fix blade centering on traditional pocket knives. I can't ever figure it out, like how exactly it works. And I've watched the videos and everything. So I've just given up on that. And then the other thing was it had quite substantial blade play. Like Case says that the way they test for blade play is by doing this, and if they feel anything, that's blade play. But this blade play was significant enough that I could feel it when I did this. So I went ahead and fixed that. Once again, every time I say that, somebody asks me to do a video on it. It's not hard. You can look up other people's videos. I just don't have a good way to film it with the way that I do it. But basically, um, I just take an old hammerhead here that I use as kind of like an anvil. and I wrap the knife up in a piece of cloth, both sides, and just kind of tap the bolster. Well, you have to hit it harder than tapping it, but hit the bolster until you can see the pin start to stick out, and then you kind of want to gradually keep going until you don't feel any blade play anymore. Because you're trying to get rid of the blade play without completely destroying the action of the knife opening and closing. So when I got this knife, it had a bit better action, but the action on it now is still really good. Really snaps open. Really good action for a case knife, I have to say. And then the pen blade here, also really good action on it. You can see these have half stops. Like I said, carbon steel. The edge grinds on this seem pretty good on the pen blade. I think the clip blade was good too. Yeah, edge grinds look good. The pen blade actually has a pretty good point on it, which is something else that case knives are not known for being great at doing. It's a little rounded off, but it's pointier than a lot of case knives that I get. One thing that a lot of people will point out with this Barlow is that it has a shield. Traditionally, Barlows didn't have shields. They had stamps on the bolster for the company or whatever. Sometimes it would just say Barlow or something. But traditionally, Barlows didn't have shields. But Case likes to put shields on their Barlows, so whatever. This being a new run case, it's got that weird laser etch Tang stamp. It's not a stamp. The Tang etch is laser etching, which I'm not a huge fan of, but I don't know, man. Like, I don't. It also doesn't bother me like that badly. I just kind of wish they'd be stamping them still. But I don't know. I mean, their stamping equipment may have completely worn out, and this was the easier route to go. I'm sure it's easier. I don't know how well the laser etch will hold up over time compared to a Tang stamp, which will last for hundreds of years. So I don't know how well a laser etch will hold up over time. But I know some people are critical of that, and I want to point it out because it is, a different thing that Case has been doing the last like 2 or 3 years that I don't necessarily agree with, but I think I kind of understand why they do it. And I'm kind of okay with it as long as, case knives aren't getting up to like, I mean, they've gone up the past few years, they've gone up quite a bit, but they're still not to the level of like really high end cutlery. So it's a shame that they're not doing the Tang stamp still, but it's not the end of the world for me. Um, but overall, this case Barlow here, I'm pretty happy with it. I was really excited to get it. I think this was like $75, something like that. It may have been closer to 80. I know they're not cheap, but that's life. These days, nothing's cheap anymore. That's just the way it is. Um, but pretty well put together. This knife's actually really well put together, other than those two things that I pointed out, which is the blade centering and the blade play. But like the back springs, I mean, there's not really any gaps or anything. The covers are really well fit and everything. Knives put together well, like I said, other than the blade centering and the fact that there was some blade play. Um, but overall, I'm pretty happy with the knife. I'm excited to have another carbon steel case Barlow that maybe I'll carry occasionally because I really like to support these American made knife companies, even if they're not necessarily the um, most high end, highest quality, whatever. I really love Bear and Sons and I love Case because, they're American made knife companies and you can actually get your hands on the knives fairly easily. Whereas Great Eastern Cutlery is the top of the line production knives when it comes to traditional pocket knives. But they're a lot harder to get your hands on, and a lot of times you have to go into the secondary market or know somebody. If you know a dealer or something, I guess you can get your hands on them that way. I don't. I guess some people out there do because I always see the same people always get their hands on the releases they want. So I'm guessing they know somebody or something. I don't know. I just know it's really hard to get in on a Great Eastern Cutlery release without having some kind of information because a lot of companies will drop them at just random times, and then you have the places that do like a scheduled drop. And I can't get my hands on either way. The only time that I'll occasionally get my hands on one is if I happen to have my phone in my hand the moment the Telegram notification for collector's knives comes in, and then I'll get one on reserve. But that doesn't happen very often because, just like most of you, I have a life. I have to work, I have to eat, I have to bathe and use the bathroom and sleep. So a lot of the times I don't get the Telegram notification when my phone is in my hand. Um, but that's life. Great Eastern Cutlery, top of the line. But for a lot of us, getting a case knife or a Baron Sun knife or something like that is a lot easier, and you still get a fairly well made piece of American cutlery pocket knife. And these case Barlows, I'm hoping, will be as good as the 2019 Barlows were. And this one's pretty good, so I'm happy with it. I am excited to see what else Case is going to release in the Barlow line this next year or two. So we'll see. But anyway, it's gonna be it for this video. I will see you guys in the next one, and I hope you have a good day.